Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein and I will be your presenter today. Today we are going to talk about building a church directory from the membership module. We're going to look at some of the templates that you have in there that are available for you that you don't need to customize or edit. And then we're also going to look at some templates that you can edit and customize and make your own, adding emails, adding cell phones, whatever you need to see on the directory itself. So I'm going to open up membership here. And then in membership, you can get to the directory one of two ways. You can click right here in the middle to open up reports. That's going to take you right to the step one screen to start. Or you can go up under reports and export up at the top, reports and labels, and then reports directory export. It takes you to the exact same place, so it doesn't matter which way you go about getting there. Now, a couple things to kind of talk about with criteria when you run the directory. When you run the directory itself, it looks at two very important fields on individuals' records. So let's go into people first, and I want to point out these two fields that are really important. The first really important field is right here. It says include on directory. So every single person that you have here in people is going to have an include on directory field and this directory/report order field. If you want someone to show up on your directory, this box has to be checked. So where it says include on directory, put a check mark in that box if you want someone to show up. If someone does not have this box checked, by default, when you generate your directory, they are not going to show. The only way around that is to check this box. There's also this with special character field. This is used if you want to put like a caret or an asterisk or some type of symbol next to someone's name in the directory to denote something about them. So for example, if everybody on a committee you want to give the caret symbol to, or say everybody who's on staff, you want to put a little star next to. You could go through these people records here and add in that special character on those people. And then the only place you'll see that special character is when you run the directory, and it will appear right after their first name. Then below that, we have this field called directory/report order. This field should be filled in for every single person that you have in membership, okay? Regardless of whether they're a member, regardless of whether they're a visitor, no matter what their category is, every single record should have something in this directory/report order fields. You have 5 codes that are available to assign to people. Every household needs to have a primary. So whether it's a family of 7 or a single person that's by themselves, one person within that family has to be a primary. Their spouse or partner either needs to be secondary or a number 4, which is secondary primary separately. Now, what's the difference? Number 4 can be used, the secondary primary separately, it can be used if you have a couple that has 2 different last names. So if you have Bob Smith and Sally Brown, for example, they would show up in the B's for Brown and they would show down in the S's for Smith. Okay, so that's when you would have one person be the 1, the primary, and then their partner would be a 4. Okay, if they have the same last name, no big deal. One person is the primary, their partner then would be secondary or 2. Any kids within the family, they can all be the number 3. And then number 4 would be used for anyone, or I'm sorry, number 5 would be used for anyone that you want to keep within the family here when you're looking at people, but you want them to show up as their own entity in the directory. Okay, so this can be used for adult children, and this can be used for like an elderly parent that came back and is living with their child, for example. So you want them within the household here in people, but you want them to show up as their own separate section in the directory. That's when you would give that individual a 5 for individual separately. Okay? So these 2 fields, again, very important to be filled out for everyone in the directory, or everyone in the database needs to have a directory/report order, and then you need to check or uncheck whether they need to show up in the directory or not. Okay? All right, so let's get back to the directory itself. So step one, this again is our criteria. This is who we want to see on the directory. Like I said, if we don't change anything here and we just click the next button, only those people with their include on directory box checked are going to show up on the directory. Okay? Now, with that being said, if we have more detailed criteria that we need to put in, you could do that here. So let's say you wanted to just pull those people with a status code of active or an ELCA status of something in particular. If that's the case, you could come up here to this edit people selection criteria and specify that more detailed criteria if you need to. If you have a specific criteria about giving, if you're using the donations module or pledging, you could do that down here. Typically, what I see when I talk to customers is that include on directory checkbox is the only piece of criteria that you're going to need to run a directory. So most of the time, unless you have a very specific criteria you know you want to use, all you need to do to generate a directory is come in here, verify up here on your sort tab that your directory is sorting in the order that you want. So my people are going to be sorted in alphabetical order. If you're doing alphabetical, you don't need to worry about what's in sort field 2, because the only way that would come into play is if you had someone with the exact first and last name. So realistically, you're not going to have that a whole bunch where you need to have that sorted. So sort field 1, we're going alphabetical. Sort field 2, we're going to just leave that to none, and then we're going to hit next. All right, so here we are on step 2. Lots of options here. To generate a directory report, you need to make sure top left you have directory selected here. Right below that, you're going to have a down arrow. If you click this down arrow, you are going to see up at the top any of your saved directories that you've made in the past. But if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the list, you are going to see a bunch of templates. Now, the templates are layouts that we here at Church Windows have designed and given you to use as a starting point. Okay, you can use the template as is without making any changes if you wish, or you can use the template as a starting point and then edit it to customize it to the layout or the format that you want. Okay, there's templates in here that don't use pictures. There are templates in here that specifically say picture. If they say picture next to them, that means it's going to pull in a photo that you have uploaded to the family record and people. We're not going to have time to focus in on the pictorial directories. I've done webinars on it in the past. You can definitely go look at those out on the Resource Center if you want more information. But what I want to show you first are a couple of the templates. So these are layouts that you don't need to do any customizing to. You just select and you can easily print a directory in just a couple minutes. So let's go with the 3-column classic directory template. I'm going to select that. And then if you look over to the right, you have 3 tabs here. Report options. There are several different options in here you can check or uncheck if you want that reflected on the directory itself. So if you would like to uppercase the last name, you can check that. If you would like to include additional family members, you can check that. So this would be if you have any children linked to, say, mom's house and dad's house, you could check that. This is for family pictures. We're not going to talk about that much today, but if you have an individual photo that you would want to use as a family photo, you could check that. Child delimiter for reporting. So if you have, say, a family that has 3 kids, you can specify if you want a semicolon listed between each name of the kids or a comma. If you customize a directory and include birth date, this is the checkbox to check if you want to see the year of their birth date. Grouping and page break options. You can choose to do a page break on each person. You can do an alphabetic page break, or you can choose to include an alphabetic heading. So my church growing up, we used church windows, and we would always print a directory that had tabs down the right side for each letter of the alphabet or a range of letters. So you could specify to do this alphabetic page break and include the alphabetic letter heading. So you could easily like go down the right side of the book and flip to K's and then jump, and that would just show you the last names that started in K. So these are options for that if that's something you want to do. Unlisted options. On people's records, you have a checkbox next to their contact information, so their name, their email, and their address. And you can specify that you want those to be unlisted. So this is where you would say, do you want that information to print? Do you not want to print that unlisted information? And if you choose to have it print, do you want it to print with an asterisk so you know that that is actually an unlisted phone number? Right now, it's just set to do not print the unlisted items. All right, let's go ahead and print this so you can get an idea of what this 3-column classic directory looks like. I would say this is probably our most popular template that we have. It's pretty basic. It's going to give you last name. Let's zoom in here on the Knox family. It's going to give you last name, primary. Remember, there's that directory report order. Primary person first, secondary person here. Their kids, here's that semicolon, separating the two kids. Here's their address information, and then their primary phone. If they have an alternate address, if we look here at Jen Arnold with her son Richard, here's her address line 1, address line 2, city, state, zip, and then it's going to give us the address of when she's at her place in Orlando, Florida, and then it's going to give that information. Okay, and this is going to go on for 2 pages, it looks like. And here's that alpha order that we set. Now, you can customize this. Let's say a lot of people I talk to, they want to include cell phones and they want to include emails. Okay, if that's the case, we're going to go choose a different template. So I'm going to close this. And remember, these templates are always going to be saved in here. So you can jump back and forth between which ones you want. Now, let's say we want to make a 2-column directory, and we're going to have it with cell and email. Now, if you're including cell phone on your directory, I think it's best to do, oh, no, I'm sorry, if you're including email on your directory, I think it's best to do a 2-column instead of a 3-column. What I found over the years is if you try to squish really long emails into 3 columns, it tends to wrap. So it'll say like Rachel's email, and then the email doesn't fit next to where it says Rachel's email, so then it creates another line. So actually by doing the 2 columns, it gives you more space on the page where Rachel's email and then what my actual email address is fits a lot nicer in the 2 columns than if you try to squeeze it in and then have a bunch of text wrapping. Okay? So that's why I chose the 2-column directory here. And everybody's going to get this message. It's going to say this template contains labels for cell phone. Please edit the report. So we have to edit this report to tell the program what field is our cell phone field. Okay, you do this just once. And after you do this, it'll be saved. It won't be a template anymore. It'll be a saved report. Okay. And I know this screen can be a little intimidating for everybody, but this is the designer. This is where you can go in and customize all you want for your directory. Okay. So as you can see, the top section is going to be very similar to that 2-column directory we just looked at. So you're going to have last name, your primary first name, your secondary first name, your kid's name here, your address, your primary phone. Here is all your alternate address information. But then as we scroll down a little bit, you can see we have these 4 extra lines. This is where the cell phones are going to print and the emails are going to print. Looking at this now, I can tell you that the email fields are already set up, but we're missing our actual cell phone number fields that would print in here. That's what that little message box was telling us. So we have to actually add our cell phone field to this template, okay? To do that, I'm going to go over to the right, and under Data Controls, I'm going to grab this membership field. I'm going to click and hold, and I'm going to drag it. It's okay that that shows that little X symbol right now because I'm going to get it to the right spot. So right here on the second cell phone line to the right of that little person, I'm going to drop this membership field. As soon as I let go, it wants me to tell the program what membership field or what information do I want to show in that box, okay? And I want to see what the actual cell phone number is. So I'm going to scroll down, and you're looking for this personal information field, and then you're going to choose cell phone, okay? I'm going to say okay. So now I'll make it a little bit bigger, my cell phone field added. So keep in mind the fields with the little person on it. So these 4 fields stacked over here, these fields are going to say, for example, Mitchell's cell. Okay, then you're going to see Rachel's cell. This field is going to be labeled Mitchell's email. This field is going to be labeled Rachel's email. So this is just the label itself. We call this a personalized label. The fields over here, these fields are going to display what that information actually is. So this is going to print my email address. This is going to print my spouse's email address. This is going to print my cell phone. This is going to print my spouse's cell phone. Okay, so it's kind of stacked. So now I need to go back over to the right again, and I need to grab one more membership field, and I'm going to drop it. And again, it's already set to cell phone. It remembers what I need, and I'm going to say okay. Now, we do need to change something. So whenever you bring a membership field over, it's going to default to the selected person. That's going to be whomever the primary is within your family. We need to change this second line because we want this cell phone to print for whomever the spouse is. To do that, you simply select the field and hit this little gear, and we have to change who the family member is. So I'm going to change this to the spouse because I want to know the cell phone number for the spouse. Okay, so now we see that our cell phone and our email fields look similar. Now I'm going to come over here to this field. I'm going to hit the gear, and I'm going to tell it if Rachel doesn't have a cell phone, I don't want to see the text Rachel's cell phone print and then nothing next to it. I want to tell the program that if Rachel doesn't have a cell phone, I want to hide that whole line so we don't see Rachel's cell phone in a blank space. And that's where this omit field comes in handy. So it says omit if selected field is empty. So I want to omit the actual box that says Rachel's cell phone if Rachel doesn't actually have a cell phone. Okay, so that's where you're going to choose cell phone for spouse partner. Okay, we're going to do the same thing up here. If the primary person doesn't have a cell phone, I don't want to see Mitch's cell and then nothing after. So I'm going to put in the omit field. So I'm going to omit this field if the selected individual doesn't have a cell phone. Okay. This is in the document out on the website. It is a little tricky at first, but if you need help, call us. We'll walk you through it. But this is how you need to set up this cell and email fields. And remember, the emails are already done. We're just working with the cell phones, okay? And you only have to do this once. Once you do this, you save it, you're done. So let's go up to the top, and I'm going to hit Save As. And I'm going to call it, my church is 514, so I'm going to say 514 updated 2-column directory with cell and email, okay? Say okay. And now this layout's going to be saved for me. Now, keep in mind, if you want to change your font, you want to change your font size, any of those things, you can do that here across the top, just like you would in a Word document. However, the biggest difference is going to be each one of these fields are its own individual cell or its own individual text box. So if you need to go in and update the font, you have to actually select the field, come up here, and change it to what you want. And that only changes it for that one field. So you would need to, you can hold down your control button. That's what I like to do. And then I select multiple fields at a time. And then you can come up and change your font up at the top if you want to, okay? But I'm going to go back and switch that address back to what it should have been. There we go. Okay, so then from here, let me make sure I didn't undo this bad boy. No, it's good. I'm going to do Save As. 514 updated 2-column, perfect. And then you can see here's my updated name up here. I'm going to close out. And now when I choose directory, every time moving forward, I have my 514 updated directory I can select. Bottom right, I'm going to hit print. And now I'm going to have an updated directory, and it's going to include any cell phone and email information that I have. So as you can see, here's Evan's cell, here's Nikki's cell. Looks like just Evan has an email, Nikki does not, so her line was omitted. But the 2 column is really going to give you more room. Some people have some really lengthy emails, so doing the 2 column, it helps quite a bit with that. But that is kind of short and sweet how to get a standard template directory and then how to customize one of our templates to get the information that you need.